First, I just want to get to the point Leader Filippi was getting to, is whatever you stand on this resolution, the performance by the Department of Health at the hearing was disgraceful. Yeah, there was letters submitted by doctors, I get that. There was a lot of data-driven testimony by people opposed to this resolution. There was not one person at that hearing from anywhere that testified in favor of this resolution with any type of data or backup. Not saying it doesn't exist, saying it wasn't there. And I find that just disrespectful to this body. But while we're on the topic of this issue, there's a lot to talk about in here. This will not be, unfortunately, the first time I get up today. But I do want to focus on the issue that's drawing attention, which is the school masking requirement. And I have some data for you. First, the White House itself said a couple months ago that 2020, 24% increase in emergency room visits for mental health for children ages 5 to 11, more than 30% increase in visits between 12 and 17 years old, and that suicide is the second leading cause of death among people ages 10 and 24. Now, a lot of people are under stress throughout this pandemic. I'm not saying it's related to masks, but they certainly don't help when you keep kids masked in school all day. More importantly, in the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health, there was a 2021 study that reviewed the finding of over 65 publications concerning mask use. The study listed the following adverse health consequences of wearing masks. And I'll read these quickly because I do not want to bump up too far on my 5-minute time limit. Increase in dead space volume outside the mouth nose for carbon dioxide accumulation. Increase in breathing resistance. Increase in blood carbon dioxide. Decrease in blood oxygen saturation. Increase in heart rate. Decrease in cardiopulmonary capacity. Feeling of exhaustion. Increase in respiratory rate. Difficulty breathing and shortness of breath. Headache, dizziness, drowsiness. Decrease in empathy perception, and impaired skin barrier function with acne, itching, and skin lesions. I know a lot of us have probably experienced these. Some of them are common sense, some may not be. The study concluded the described mask-related changes in respiratory physiology can have an adverse effect on the wearer's blood, gases, subclinically, and in some cases also clinically manifest, and therefore have a negative effect on the basis of all aerobic life, external and internal respiration, with an influence on a wide variety of organ systems and metabolic processes with physical, psychological, and social consequences for the individual human being.
Representative Newberry, just a moment, please.
Sure.
State your point of order, please. Representative McGaugh.
My point of order is that I'm not sure that this is relevant. What we're discussing here is the executive order.
Can you use your microphone, please? I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. My point of order is that this is a bill to extend the executive order. This is not a bill about a mask mandate. And so I would like the representative to stick to the order at hand, which is the executive order.
Thank you. The parliamentarian ruled that this is part of the bill, so we're going to allow, but thank you for that point, and Representative Newberry may continue, but we have limited time. So
Well, Mr. Speaker, this is one of the most important bills we're going to pass. I appreciate the very correct ruling from the parliamentarian. I would like to reclaim my time that was lost with the wasteful point of order, and I'd like to point out, the parliamentarian just...
We stopped your clock.
Thank you. As the parliamentarian just ruled, one of the executive orders we're extending is directly related to the school mask mandate, Executive Order 21-87. So since we're talking about data and science, which were not present at the committee hearing, I think it's relevant, so I will continue. Actually, I just finished that section on the negative health impacts of wearing masks. Now, let's talk about the CDC. Something that anybody with common sense knew 2 years ago is that cloth masks were useless, but now we have CDC confirmation that cloth masks really don't do anything. That came out a few months ago, confirming the obvious. Most of the mask wearing we see anywhere, including in this chamber now, as I look around, are cloth masks that don't do anything. But let's put that aside. Let's assume, for the sake of argument, that some of the scientific data out there regarding N95 masks is correct and that they have some effect. Let's talk about what the current requirements are to effectively wear an N95 mask. And remember, we're talking about kids in schools here right now. Before handling the mask, must wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water or apply a solution with at least 60% alcohol on your hands. Must inspect the respirator for any tears or damages. Don't use it if it looks deteriorated or soiled. Must cup the mask in your hand with the nose piece facing outwards and the straps hanging below your hand or facing the floor. Must place the mask under your chin and over your nose. There should be no gaps between your face and the respirator. The CDC recommends certain facial hairstyles for workers who must wear tight-fitting masks like N95 respirators. Beards, some mustaches, and sideburns can lift the mask, such as the one worn by the representative of the Department of Health at the committee hearing, allowing particles and vapors to enter the available space, and individual facial hairs are not large and dense enough to filter these substances. Must pull the upper strap over your head and position it at the back of your head. Same for the lower strap, but let it rest below your ears. Must conform the metal strip on the mask to conform to the shape of your nose. Must adjust the respirator right, left, up, or down until you get the best fit. Must conduct a user seal check. The mask's manufacturer usually offers instructions for this. In general, you can test for any air leaks by placing your hands over the mask without changing its current position on your face, then perform one or both of the following. Again, we're talking here about kids in schools, young kids, elementary school kids. Very, very few of them are following these requirements, which means wearing these masks, even the ones that supposedly stop the virus or do a good job of cutting down, is theater. Let's talk about mask cost. Oh, it's a good time to move my amendment, Mr. Speaker, if I could.
30 seconds,
I would like to move LC 004398/4.
Just a moment, please. Representative Newberry moves an amendment, LC 004398/4, seconded by Representative Price, Representative Place, Representative Roberts, Representative Nardone, Whip Chippendale, Representative Quattrochi, and Leader Filippi. The amendment is in play. You should refresh your calendars, and it should be on your iPads. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll read this in for the record. It's very brief for the people who may be paying attention at home. Whereas the Rhode Island Superior Court found that Rhode Island school children were incurring irreparable harm from the adverse effects from the requirement that they wear masks throughout the school day, including physical and emotional discomfort, and interfering with the children's ability to interact with teachers, and it goes on. I'd like to insert the following language. Essentially, I'm not going to read this. I will tell you what it does. What it does is it prevents the extension of Executive Order 21-87, which is the school mask requirement executive order, and prohibits the governor from continuing that. I will briefly finish my talk about statistics and explain the rest of my rationale on this amendment. Mask cost. Surgical masks, which, by the way, the CD says are not a reliable level, do not provide a reliable level of protection from inhaling smaller airborne particles and are not considered respiratory protection. Surgical masks, the average weekly cost per mask is $1.40, disposed after one use. N95 masks, the average weekly cost per mask is $2.03, disposed after 5 uses, and KN95, the average weekly cost per mask is $1.60, disposed after 5 uses. I only point that out because using the so-called proper mask is extremely expensive for a lot of people. So I want to add that as well. The bottom line is this, Mr. Speaker. The governor just came out and said the indoor mask mandate is going to end, I believe, tomorrow. Conveniently right before Super Bowl weekend and all the restaurants and parties that take place, sort of like the new mask requirement that he implemented on an emergency basis back in December, but it didn't take effect until after the last shopping weekend before Christmas. I'm sure a lot of science involved in that decision. Bottom line is, mask wearing in schools, we know, has no discernible impact on the spread of Omicron. You can see studies from around the country. Arizona, for example, had no mask requirement over the last few months. California did. The testing, the transmission rate was the same in both states. There is no evidence out there that school masks prevent transmission relative to places that do not have school masks. There's no studies on this. And the thing that really gets me, Mr. Speaker, is that we're going to drop the mask mandate tomorrow for everybody else, but not for the kids in the schools. Because what? Because science? I know, with all due respect, Deputy Speaker Lima, I know you talked about it gives the school committees and such time. I got an email from my school superintendent today. They're going to drop the mask mandate in North Smithfield or make it optional as soon as the governor's does. All right, it's good. I agree. I'm not complaining. I'm simply saying it doesn't take time. It really doesn't. Now, people can do what they want to. I know Representative Morales is hoping that his city of Providence keeps it in place. God bless the city of Providence if you want to do that. If your town or city wants to do it, that's fine, I guess. If you want your kids to go to school and wear masks, that's fine, I guess. But the bottom line, and I'll conclude with this, the kids don't take this seriously. Frankly, most of the people in this room don't take mask wearing seriously. I know you don't. So let's not pretend otherwise. Our children don't do it. It breeds disrespect. Some of you do, by the way, so don't get up and yell at me if you do. Some of you do. Most of you don't, and I know that. The bottom line is the kids don't take it. They don't respect it. They don't respect government that acts like this. This accomplishes nothing. It's time to end this. We should pass this amendment and end the school mask mandate.